Hey, thank you for clicking on the video. The Mega Level Nerds back at you. It certainly has been a long hiatus, but we've got myself, Don, J-Onehundred, two originals here. Great being with you again, John. Thank you so much for coming back together with me here. We got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. It's good to see you again, man.
Absolutely, brother. So, boy, the last time, the show, it's been a while. There's been a lot that's gone on. So, but let's just talk about kind of the latest Marvel nerd MCU thing to happen, which, the Super Bowl was last night. And so we got the Deadpool, well, I'd say Deadpool 3 trailer, but it's not called Deadpool 3.
I guess they switched it up on us.
Yeah, I was not expecting that, but it does make sense. So it's Deadpool and Wolverine. New trend now where we don't actually get to see the full trailer. I guess the Super Bowl charges too much, so they give us a 30-minute snippet. Go online and watch it. I think the commercials in general in the Super Bowl are just, I don't know. Now with the all online component, it's just so much weaker. But nonetheless, it's like the first movie trailer that comes on for the Super Bowl. Go online. We check out the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. Boy, there was a lot going on there. But what was your initial thoughts and impressions of what we did see?
Well, I mean, first we saw Wade with hair, so that was always going to be comical in some way, shape, or form. I guess my guy wants to be normal, but when they pulled out those pruning sticks,
yes,
I was like, oh, we're going there.
Yeah.
And I will say that when we were talking in the chat today, I said that he reminded me of Captain Britain, and I was mistaken. He reminds me of Hank Pym from Time Runs Out. That's what I think is kind of like the story. I think, I don't know, based off of what I see, I think that's the story that they're trying to pull out there. They want someone to check out the multiverse. They want someone to figure out what's going on with these incursions.
Yeah,
because that incursion is going to start, and he's going to do it in the most Wade Wilson way possible, which is absolutely hilarious and gratuitously violent.
Yeah. Definitely straying from the path there with Disney. I mean, obviously going to be a rated R, and that was long speculated whether that was going to happen, maybe released under a different company or something, subsidiary of Disney. But no, we're getting the full-on Deadpool experience. And that is actually something that has surprised me. I did not think, obviously we always knew Deadpool was going to be in the MCU, but I really didn't think for it to be this integrated into the MCU being a rated R. But like you said, the TVA shows up, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I understood we were going to get some Deadpool multiversal shit, but I didn't know we're going actual TVA, like recruiting him. That was something that really surprised me. So, Disney really adopting the Deadpool character and making a rated R chapter of the story, at least. Yeah, I just didn't expect such an integration and adoption, but here we have it. Looking at the trailer, he breaks the fourth wall immediately and is talking about your little MCU, and it's in trouble and shit. And he called himself Marvel Jesus. Yeah,
that was hilarious.
It was hilarious. It's going to be great. But definitely leaning into the reboot-ish, who knows exactly what's going to happen, but this is going to have heavy implications into the MCU going forward.
Yeah, considering the fact that we'll probably get to some of the shows and stuff that we missed, but one thing that I had been wondering since coming out of the movie theater of the Marvels is, one, how are they going to get Photon back? And two, now that not Photon, but I don't know. I guess they really. Her mom was there at the end credit scene, so she was called Photon. So I don't know. However they're going to do it, they need to get her back. and then getting her back. Obviously, we see Beast. I'm thinking, just if we're gonna speculate, and again, I'm not a trailers guy. This is part of the reason why I don't do the trailers. But as we're getting deeper into the multiverse stuff, I don't think the trailers can give away much because you can basically do almost anything you want now, right?
Yeah.
But it seems to me that she's gonna be able to come back, and the X-Men are gonna be able to come through the main MCU through the TVA, because they technically have the ability to do that, especially
Hmm.
considering that Loki is basically the master of all the branches. So it's going to make it easy to be able to pluck who you need to when you need to. Again, which is why as soon as I saw him, go up into the screens in the trailer with the corporate guy or whatever, I was like, oh. This reminds me, and I incorrectly thought Captain Britain, but this reminds
Sure.
me of kind of what Hank Pym's mission was in Time Runs Out in the comics before they got to
Yeah.
the comic version of the 2015 Secret Wars. So that's what it looks like to me, and I think that that's a cool way of being able to save a character that I'm sure we'll probably talk about it, but the Marvels, to me, I'm not really much of a hater of much, but the Marvels to me was one of the best movies out of these new phases coming out to me. I liked pretty much everything about it for the most part. Story was
Yeah.
kind of weak. How they kind of nerfed Carol's intelligence was a little
Yeah.
weak to me, but outside of that, showing basically Omega level uh, to heroes doing
Yeah.
Omega level things, and like it was nothing. I mean, this was an incursion about to happen that
Yeah.
was closed. And granted, we lost, Monaco or whatnot. As it seems, I think everything is going to be able to come together, and Deadpool and Wolverine is probably going to be a funny, immersive, connecting movie that, again, I always say that that I think that now that we have a lot of casual viewers, I think that a lot of the casual viewers either need to sit back and hang on and watch and maybe not speculate as much, or worry about where things are going, or worry about the cinema and how the stories are written and things such as that, because it's done to kind of connect things later.
Yeah.
So to be honest with you, um I believe that Ragnarok and Endgame and even Guardians of the no, he wasn't in that one. Was he in that one? No, 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 no. He wasn't in that one. But the point that I'm trying to make though with the Thors is that now when you go back and look at the second one, it's really not that bad. It
Yeah.
just was bad at the time when it came out, because we're like, what is this? What does this have to
Yeah.
do with anything? And now that we see what it has to do with, it kind of makes sense. And to
Hmm.
be honest with you, that's kind of the way I feel about Iron Man 3, because especially going back to my Twitch times or whatnot, I talked about how Iron Man 3 was my least favorite, because how you gonna ruin the Mandarin? How you gonna
Right.
destroy, Tony's suits and all this other stuff? But again, when you look in context to where they were trying to take Tony, and how they were trying to give him stakes, and how they were trying to give him something to live for, and how there's other kind of stuff like that, you go back and you watch Iron Man 3, and it's actually a really good movie.
Yeah. It is, and you're right that a lot of these movies do get value added to them once we do see the story play out more. I did watch the Marvels, and it is something that you see a lot of people kind of talk shit about. But that's mostly because, and I largely ignore these, the anti woke versus the woke. Like, that's all just like, hey, we're gonna fight for the sake of fighting. Like, actually sitting down, you say it was actually one of the better movies you saw. I didn't go to the theaters. I did wait for streaming. But I will tell you that not only was I sitting there, but like my two daughters, my 15-year-old son, like we were watching it and they were entertained. Like, You
Yeah.
know, if I told them, hey, go up and go do this, they were like, hey, pause that. You know, hey, no problem. Like, no problem. I'll go up and get you some drink, but you know, pause that shit, Dad. Like, okay, you know, no problem. So, and that's really what you want in this. When we want to bring people into the fold, into liking the MCU, of all ages. So, and anything to have longevity, it's got to get the kids. So I think that your point of just, you know, in our very first podcast, you know, it was Let It Ride. And it's still kind of the same thing, man. Just like let the story develop. I want to say Star Wars is the biggest, you know, one of my biggest pet peeves because people complain about things that happened in the movies or in this show or back in the prequels, which, you know, everybody hated, but in the past, you know, 5 years now it's like, oh my God, they're a masterpiece. So
Now that they have something else to hate on, you know, now it's a masterpiece.
exactly. But then now we get treated to shit like the Bad Batch. They ended, you know, the season 7 of the Clone Wars. Ahsoka. Listen, that fucking show is criminally underrated. Okay, everybody should have. Not in this room, as you could tell. But oh my God, just everything that it introduced. I mean, how can you not fucking love like Admiral Thrawn with like zombie fucking stormtroopers? That Balin Skull character, like Ezra.
A whole new universe.
Yeah, a whole new universe. That Ahsoka's in there, Balin's over there. There's some crazy shit going over there. Ezra Bridger's back, you know, in the main galaxy now. Like, all this shit gets breathed life if you just give the overall story some time to breathe. So, you know, back to the MCU. You know, people are way too critical. See the Secret Invasion show. Okay, I honestly enjoyed the show. My only complaint is that I would have rather the Super Skrull concept be introduced with the Fantastic Four.
Right.
But outside of that, I was really interested in there. I mean, how, you know, hey, oh yeah, by the way, there's a million Skrull here. What? You know, yeah, that's a real fucking problem. And that's like not too far off from like real life. So, wow, you know, you can understand what the fuck's going on there. But going back to the Deadpool, so yeah, this has heavy implications for the MCU at large. Obviously, some notable stuff. So good news, bad news for me is I saw Colossus, but something tells me that that whole family group there is probably going to be at the beginning of the movie, and then boom, we're with the TVA. We get paired up with Wolverine. So next big kind of geek out thing is you see Wolverine in his actual yellow and blue, you know, classic suit there that everybody's been waiting to see. But you mentioned Secret Wars, so Easter egg here. You know, when he's lying in the desert there's a comic book that's like on screen with them, and obviously I watch YouTube videos and whatnot, and it's been revealed that that is Secret Wars number 5. So the Jonathan Hickman, that's the latest Secret Wars. Doom is on the cover. Speaking of Doom, we get a flash of Doom. Now, could be a Doom bot, so, but you definitely see something that looks exactly like, you know, Doctor Doom in the mix there, so that's very exciting. But again, the Secret Wars number 5, A, great, I have that. Hopefully that increases the value. But B, we've heard that we're going towards Secret Wars, so that's just kind of a cool thing. You mentioned Time Runs Out, which is the series that goes right up to Secret Wars. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely, you know, to fan book it or, you know, whatever vernacular you want to use, it's looking like, yeah, we're definitely like Deadpool is on the road to Secret Wars. And like you said, because, you know, that was a different character in the comics, makes sense that they could say, hey, Deadpool's gonna fill that role now because, you know, who we had in the original comics has kind of already done a thing. And so, yeah, very much, I think you're going that way. Battle World, Secret Wars. And then eventually maybe come back together, but yeah, Secret Wars is going to be bonkers.
Even with Loki, you can kind of see those elements. And to me, what what I always kind of figured, and I guess maybe this is no better time to get into this part than now, because it kind of connects to what we're talking about here.
Mhm.
But it always seemed to me from the get-go that Kang was going to be an in-between to get to Doom.
Yeah.
That's already what I figured. So if there is a if Marvel has finally gotten me to be like, oh, it's kind of with the Jonathan Majors situation. Now,
Yeah.
I am definitely not going to sit here and condone or defend or protect, domestic violence and things such as that, right? But ultimately, based off of the evidence that we were able to see and hear and things such as that, I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't need to get as far as it got, but it just sounded like a lover's scorned quarrel that was going down. That ultimately, once we see what it all is, I feel bad for old girl's finger or whatnot, but
Right. And the little, thing in the back of her head, she had a little
maybe a fracture,
scratch.
right? And that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to defend this
Yeah.
at all whatsoever, but like, so is this what we're going to do to any character that gets divorced? Is this what we're going to do to any character? And so for what I did see online was a lot of people kind of liken it to the Gina Carano. That's why I had mentioned in the chat,
Hmm.
where I think Gina's situation is a little bit different, where whether she understands or not, which is kind of the problem,
She
that she
understands.
was promoting bigotry. And even if those type of people don't think that they're being bigots, they are. So that's a little bit different than me having a fight with a girlfriend that I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna break up with, or something like that, right? And then the other, I guess, with the other universe that we have, where we have this kind of precedent, would be Ezra Miller with Ezra Miller with the DCEU, and that guy was, I believe, convicted of felonies.
Convicted. It's on clear video.
Right.
Him, doing fucking WWF fucking chokehold. I mean, no, it's, and you do point out a hypocrisy here, because when we look at the Jonathan Majors, and you're absolutely right, we're in no way in shape or form condoning domestic violence against women. If a woman hits you, turn her cheek. She hits you 5 times. Come on.
What you probably should do is run as fast
Right,
as you did in the
exactly.
CCT footage
Right.
of Jonathan Majors.
Right, exactly. So exactly, Ezra Miller, we've got video. We have him doing violence on video. When I was researching the Jonathan Majors case, I specifically said I want to see what the evidence was. Okay, well, okay, the lawyer claims this is that. Okay, whatever this case was. What is the evidence? Here's the evidence. Okay, they have a video of him trying to get away from her, pushing her in the car. Like, no, you go, you stay. I'm gonna go. And then she chases him. And then outside of that, you have the guy that drove the car that was like, this chick's crazy. He didn't do any of that.
And then we have the video evidence of her going to the club and having a good
Right.
time. And
So,
getting
yeah,
drunk.
exactly. She says she was hurt, but yeah, she was getting turned up. Right, exactly.
So ultimately, my thing about this is especially considering that Jonathan Majors got a misdemeanor conviction.
He was
I
convicted
just
by
I
a
don't know.
jury.
It's just really weird to call the way that a misdemeanor conviction is, the tone of it that I've always heard
Yeah.
or read in the media. It's like, oh, he was convicted of this da 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 da. That is a misdemeanor. Well, you did like a whole paragraph before you said it was a misdemeanor, and a
Yeah.
misdemeanor that I'm sure that if Jonathan Majors were to do all the things that he needs to do, it's not even going to be on his record anymore. So my thing about this is based off of what I understand about kind of like the Marvel universe and what they're basing things off of, even though they're switching some characters around, it doesn't seem like a crazy idea that Kang is just a go-between. That
Yeah.
whatever they do, but this is what I thought was going to happen. Honestly, after watching Ant-Man, and then seeing the Council of Kangs at the end or whatnot, right? What I was thinking was, oh snap! Here's what's gonna happen. Kang's gonna try to try to conquer things, and that's going to, and then obviously we're gonna see Wade figuring out what the incursions are, and that's going to do the part in Time Runs Out where there was all these incursions, and they were trying to figure out that or they figured out that there was a lot of these universes, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden there was like a few of them, and like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Like that part I think is the Kang part. And then when they beat the dynasty of Kang, right? And they have these few universes left, right after they beat Kang is going to lead to the part that's going to lead to Battle World. And then we're going to have maybe an Iron Lad. We don't need a Robert Downey Jr. We're going to get a younger version of the Robert Downey Jr. And we're going to have, the young Hawkeye. We're going to
Yeah.
have Miss Marvel. We're going to have Spider-Man. We're going to have all these young characters that are going to be the face of the heroes that are going to be a part of this next part. You only needed Kang for like a few more shows. So you mean to tell me that you're gonna throw this whole thing out a little bit and kind of I don't really know how you're gonna do Kang Dynasty. You're just gonna take that off the menu? Are you going to take that off the list? Are you going to recast them? If you're going to recast them, I don't know. It's just I think it's going to throw it off because the character and the acting that Jonathan Majors was. I mean, brother, I wish we were doing this when Loki came out. I was me and Mara were in awe of his performance as
Yeah.
Victor Timely. The stutter, the deceit, the manipulation, the coming to grips of what's going on, the being able to come within the moment. This was acting, especially in the MCU, on a level that I've not seen since I guess Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
You know, I mean, even you could even take Doctor Strange as well, but he's just so straight laced, and then now he's kind of like too jokey. He's like it's
Yeah.
like Thor almost, kind of, right?
Yeah.
That Jonathan Majors as all these different characters was absolutely amazing. So I mean, Marvel is good at casting, and they're gonna have to I guess blow it out of the water. But he was just a go between anyway. And what we really need to be focusing on are these new young characters. The Iman, I forgot her last name. Iman, Miss Marvel. I forgot her last
Yeah.
name. And I mean, even Carol and all that kind of stuff like that. Like they got a good little roster, and the stakes where things could have gone. I think Jonathan Majors would have thrown it over the top. That I don't think, unfortunately, again, not trying to defend or condone anything. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think a misdemeanor charge for trying to get away from your girlfriend that you cheated on
Right.
is
Should
worth.
end it. Right.
Right, just like that. I mean, and again, to the point in the chat, Ezra not only um had the what was on video, but he also had grooming charges. He also had, I believe, some drug stuff. You can clearly tell
Yeah.
there's drugs and stuff going on. And not only did he get to have his whole full solo movie, but he got to go to the premiere and reap the benefits. And if they were doing press tours back then, I'm pretty sure he would have been doing the press tours and stuff too. So I mean, I'm not trying, and I'm sure that there's going to be segments and conversations on the show where we make it like that. But I'm
Yeah.
not trying to make it, oh, Jonathan Majors was black and Ezra Miller was white. But what other reason are we being so heavy-handed for?
Yeah.
Gina made sense. I to be honest with you, I was a big Gina Carano fan. We said this back in the day
Yep.
that it was kind of surprising. I didn't think that she, believed things such as that. She was such a good fighter and things such as that, and the acting that she did, I thought was great. But bro, Disney's a big corporation, and you're promoting ignorance, hatred, and bigotry. And Jonathan was just living the star life that we would expect. And that's the thing that kind of bugs me, is like we already expect the stars to be like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. We love it.
So
We have
the
reality
fact that
TV, the Kardashians, right? Like,
right, he was doing stuff behind, like it's not a good look, but you're gonna ruin your, not ruin, but you're gonna take a dent to a highly curated franchise over this. Like I don't know. It's just a
Yeah.
little too much. And for me, it was just finally one of those Marvel things where I'm just like, ooh, ooh.
Yeah. You're. That's a great point. That it really is. We act like we don't like that sort of thing. Like, they're celebrities. They're out drinking. They got in some drama. He's not on videotape assaulting anyone, trying to run away from people. So yeah, I'm certainly not one to be about the white and the black, but I am an analyst, and I rely on
Kind of
data.
hard to ignore. And I'd be remiss if I didn't make mention of this either. With the one thing I guess that was cringe within the black community or whatnot was the whole Coretta Scott thing. And you know for me, especially when it comes to anything, news, current events, movies, comic books, video games, whatever. I like context. I like context, and I
Yeah,
like understanding, right? And so, even though I also was just like, "Ugh, what'd you say that for?" I definitely understood where I was trying to understand where everybody was coming from. I was trying to understand where she was coming from. I was trying to understand where Jonathan was coming from.
right.
And as far as knowing how their relationship was and what her behavior was at Marvel outings, like that's the part about it that gets me a little bit. You've seen her be ridiculous at your company functions, Marvel. And so, sure, he probably shouldn't have put her back in the car the way that he did, but he's trying to say, hey, listen, if we're gonna do this, and my community is looking at me in such a way, and being someone who was political online and was talking about pro black, black liberation, black things, black issues in America type things, I get looked at for relationships that I've had in the past,
Mm-hmm.
or the mothers of my children, if you will, right? But my thing about that is I practice what I preach about loving everyone. I try to give my best to everyone until you give me a reason not to, even in my relationships, right? So I've personally been in a situation. I've been didn't use the words this way, but I've been in a situation where it's like, hey, I'm out here trying to do this stuff for a brand or whatnot, this, that, and the third. Like, can you just play your part? Can you
Yeah,
play your role a little bit? I'm not saying you got to fake. I'm not saying you got to act. But like when we're on camera or when we're on mic, like let's let's do what we need to do to get where we need to get instead of making it having this dissonance and consternation, right? So I definitely understood what he was trying to say, and it just was just all these other things, all these other factors that didn't even matter, that were like leading to the court of public opinion, which
right.
I think Marvel was banking on, because they feel as though, from what the feedback is, that phase 5 and these TV shows or whatever aren't working. And as the demographic that you're actually trying to hit,
Right.
Marvel, you're doing fine. She-Hulk was fine. Moon Knight was fine. Like, they're fine. I understand that you got to get your introductions, and that may not hit off as well. But what you got to do later when you bring it all together is make the cinema good, make the story come back together, and do what you did in the Infinity Saga. That's it. It's nothing crazy. But with all that said, you know what I mean? That's just my thing about it. Like, it was a little weird that he had said that, but when you
Yeah.
understand where he's coming from, you understand. You know what I mean? That's the part that drives me crazy, is all these stories that come out where he's like, where it's like, oh, some other girlfriends are coming out and saying the same thing. Like, okay, that sounds like bullshit. But secondly, y'all know that you've seen her at these parties drunk, acting a fool. So where these stories about, oh yeah, I was at a Marvel get together, Marvel chaser, and she was so drunk, falling over, and all these kind of things, because these are the things that he was talking about in the video. You can't do this while I'm at work.
Yeah.
You can't do these at these functions in these places where these actors are and these higher up people. Like, you are representing me slash us. So I need you to be like a Coretta Scott, and ultimately that's the best example that he could come up with. I mean, I guess he could have said like Princess Diana, but that's not a good analogy when you
I
put it
th-
together.
I think it made sense. I think it made, yeah. I mean, he's just like, you know, I'm high profile, bitch. Like, come
Yeah,
on, like,
right.
act right here, or you got to go. Like,
and
Um,
she was on her way out the door. She just didn't like how she found out. And again,
so
violence and all the other stuff that goes in it.
absolutely
Listen,
not.
I'm in a very passionate relationship myself, and we get shitty sometimes. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong or bad that happens, but we get shitty sometimes, and I can definitely see how it goes. But that's someone that I know for a fact that I'm not trying to put in any situations like that. So when people that love each other like that get into it, it looks weird. So just imagine when you're just like in a dating,
Yeah.
casual kind of relationship type of thing. Like there's just so many things that I think that people should look at. That ultimately a misdemeanor, quote unquote, conviction. I just don't like the way that sounds, but a misdemeanor conviction is not going to sway away from, because I guarantee you by the end of this year, that's not even going to be in his record anymore.
Yeah, no, to be expunged. Exactly. I mean, it's not nothing, but yeah, it's going to be non-existent here at some
It's
point.
definitely not some Ezra Miller.
And he just lost how many millions of dollars, because of it.
Can't get all his other projects he's been thrown off of, and I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't really make any sense considering. I mean, I don't want to go there, but it's kind of true. What people already believe about what celebrities do at some of these parties, like with P. Diddy or with Jeffrey Epstein,
Right,
like
right, yeah.
these are like political elites, decision makers that have the ability to commit genocide, if you will. Uh,
I mean,
you
we,
know what
we
I'm saying?
just
So
learned Vince McMahon
I'm
shit on
just
some
lost
chick.
here. What's that?
So yeah, we just learned about Vince McMahon like at 70 years old shit on a chick. And
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. My whole childhood,
I know.
because I got out of WWF/E before it became E. I got on WWF. Actually, I got out when WCW ended. That's
Okay.
kind of when I got out of wrestling. And just to hear basically my childhood was just sexual deviance to the weirdest degree. Like, Vince, you can find ones that consent to that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You can. They're out there, but it's a power thing at that point. It's not even about sex at that point.
Yeah.
It's power, and that's the thing that I'm talking about overall. At the end of the day, what are we actually Why are we doing all this to this guy when you have not held all these other people accountable, or won't? I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon is, he's got this terrible. The worst that's going to happen is his image is going to be, poo poo bad boss.
Right.
That's his legacy going to be, and then
Yeah.
he's going to be the CEO of WWE again. So if that's gonna happen, why can't Jonathan Majors be Kang a couple more times? So you can be cohesive. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just really weird to me on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he met her on the set of Ant-Man 3 too, of
Yeah.
all things. So, um,
So they knew of her because she was
yeah.
there. Oh, that's yeah.
So, speaking of Marvel, I mean, have you liked all the shows so far? I know you mentioned a couple already. But how are you liking
And
Loki season 2 and everything?
which one?
Just in general. I mean, I think the last time we did this show, it's been a while. So how did you like Moon Knight and She-Hulk and
Yeah.
Secret
So
Invasion?
Tatiana Maslany is a favorite actress of mine. Um, I was a huge fan of Orphan Black. And I was even a proponent, and this is when I had the Pennyman Doctrine podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my co-host, we were covering Oscar So White when they first did that,
Okay.
right? And I think it was the year after. No, 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 it was a year after Oscar So White. So during that, they gave Viola Davis best actress in a TV show or something like that, or was it the Emmys? I don't know. Either way, Tatiana. It was up between Viola Davis for How to Get Away with Murder, Tatiana for Orphan Black, and then like somebody else for something else. The other person doesn't even matter. But Viola got it for How to Get Away with Murder, But realistically, they did that because Oscar's so white. That's my opinion on it. And I'm not
Okay.
saying that Viola Davis is not a good actress, and I'm not saying that Viola Davis didn't deserve a reward. If I could go back and get the audio of these podcasts that I have lost through time and digital scrubbing and
Yeah.
losing data and stuff like that, what I had said was Viola Davis should have been gotten this award long time ago, so she didn't have to then be used or have her award be a prop to not give it to Tatiana, who played 8 characters at
Yeah.
one time. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
And then to
That's
go behind the scenes to see how that show was made. Oh, I'm so glad to have her in the MCU. And I'm glad that she's the type of character that she is, where she goes through the fourth wall and all this other kind of stuff like that. I believe that She-Hulk was a great show for what it is, because those that are aware of She-Hulk, or even if you're aware of She-Hulk, then you have to know her from the comics. It's
right.
not much different. So what is everybody complaining about? The quality of the show. Okay, the CGI is not that great. It's TV. It's what you expect. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't great either. So what do we? I mean, that was a great show.
Yeah.
And where it then led, or was beginning to lead, with Yellow Daredevil and Sakaar, Hulk's son, I think was great for where the MCU was going. Moon Knight is showing the celestial side of things, and the God realm, which I, now that I'm saying it out loud, completely fucking forgot about. Which is a whole
Mm-hmm.
whole nother, with this whole multiverse stuff going on. What's gonna happen with them? Like, what I mean, that's crazy. And then Secret Invasion had its ups and downs, but I wish they would have did it more comic booky. Because my question for you on that one, and what I even told Mara, I wish we had the show because I would ask Don about this. What do you think about Rhodey? Do you think Rhodey was taken from Iron Man? What would that be? Not Iron Man, but Captain America, Civil War, or where do you think Rhodey was taken?
Well, yeah, I definitely think it was done in the early stages of his recovery while he was in a hospital. So, I mean, that would be, I guess, after Civil War, because that's where Vision accidentally shot him out of the sky and he got his paralysis from dropping out. So I definitely think it was somewhere very soon thereafter. That would just seem like the most logical way to do it while he's disoriented in the hospital. So, he's not in some sort of government protected bunker somewhere. So yeah, that to me makes the most logical sense. So I guess immediately after Civil War.
I agree with the wording that you used, but I don't agree with the time period. And that was the kind of thing that me and Mara were kind of going back and forth on. I think that Rhodey was taken during some sort of medical therapy or whatnot, but just like recently. Like it'd be too, I don't know, Rhodey would have.
It does make
Endgame would
sense
not
though,
have made
because
sense.
he did walk
Endgame would have
around.
made sense if he was taken then,
Yeah.
or before that.
Right.
You
Right.
see what I'm saying? Because of how he then ended up in Secret Invasion, or she ended up in Secret Invasion. All the things that happened during Endgame and during that time period, it just wouldn't have hit. And I don't think the MCU would be willing to. I mean, for a twist maybe, but it's a weak twist. I don't think they'd be willing to take the emotional impact of Tony Stark away, just to be like, oh yeah,
Right.
well there was a scroll watching the whole time, unless they do more. But I don't think there's going to be a Secret Invasion season 2. I
Yeah.
think that was
No.
just a go between for the
Yeah.
Marvels to show where
That
Sam
makes
Jackson was.
that makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense. The other thoughts that I was having though were, okay, yeah, it makes sense that maybe it wouldn't be right after Civil War. I guess when I think of like Civil War Rhodey and then boom, Endgame, where he's like, fuck you, I'm gonna let him back into the Avengers complex or whatever. He had like an attitude change though. I guess is he seemed more gung ho to the hero side of things and less that government official side of things. So I think it, but you're right. That does really kind of mess up the sense of, oh, it was a Skrull roadie that watched Tony Stark die instead of the actual roadie. Like that does make a lot of sense there. I wonder if they'll ever actually reveal exactly when that happened. But
I think
when
they
would
will
they?
eventually.
When?
I think they will, because I think there's clearly from the Marvels there's still a lot of scroll stuff going
Yeah.
on, and considering that we now know that the reason why they're having this war was because of uh, Carol. Um, Now they can find a home, and that'll leave. I forgot her name, but. Uh, Amelia Clark. That'll leave her to be able to be
Yeah, I
Super
can't
Scroll
remember her name.
and
Yeah.
not have to worry about anything else because she's not gonna have to fight the Kree, which is the reason why she was really made in the first place. Um, she's not gonna have to fight the Kree because that situation should be over now for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it's she's like another Hulk if the Hulk's not available, which he probably won't be, because I think they're. It would be smart if they did a World War Hulk kind of, you know, segue with him. If there's any character
Oh man.
out of the main group that is and has always been underdeveloped, it's Hulk. And again, that's the beauty of She-Hulk. And again,
Yeah.
while it was going down, they were being self-aware about all the woke and the woman stuff and this, that, and the third. But um how she got her powers and the amount of gamma that she was given wasn't as much as Bruce's, so it kind of
Yeah.
makes sense that she'd be able to control it. And then on top of that, she's a fourth wall sarcastic, Wade Wilson type of character anyway. So I don't know, all that worked. And now that we see he's got a son, what are we're just gonna expound on that in She-Hulk season 2 if there is one. That just wouldn't really make sense to me because she has her own thing that she's gonna have to deal with. And showing Daredevil and them announcing that, which they already. So backing up a second, staying
Yeah.
staying on the kind of like the street level heroes, but wasn't the Netflix shows always canon? Why did they have to make a whole big thing and say that, oh, this is now canon? No, it's always been canon. They said
You know,
from the get-go.
yeah, I don't. There just seems to be a segment in the internet that gets mixed up with that. It happens with Star Wars too, because yeah, I don't ever remember it not being canon.
Right.
Maybe it was androgynous at some point, and they didn't say nothing about it. But it was never like, no, this is not canon. This is completely like that was never something that I've ever seen declared in anything. So, but
Well,
I
they made
am
mention
glad.
of the Battle of New York a lot and stuff like that. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I never understood that.
But I don't know. People do that. Like what was that? Tarzlowski. What 2006, 2005 Clone Wars animated series that literally, it's canon. It was never not canon. It leads right up into the opening scenes of episode 3.
Literally.
um,
Right.
I don't know. Like I said, it happens to Star Wars. People are like, oh, this has got to be canon. Like, yeah, it's already canon.
Well, everything they're doing now is canon, guys.
The Star Wars Old Republic MMO. Like, I get it. It's Old Republic, so it's way back, but it's canon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's that sort of thing where people just, I don't know, they just miss
So,
something.
so that's what I say. Like outside of all that, what was shown, and I'm saving the best for last on purpose. Um, Loki, man. So I guess
They get a lot of mileage out of that character, Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
They are, and it was one of those ones where it's like I'm pretty sure he was really bummed out that he didn't get Thor, but his character is better than Thor, and it has always been better than Thor.
Yeah.
Realistically, Loki is what makes Thor pop when it comes to Asgard, at least. I mean, Thor obviously has his own mystique and gravitas to him, but when it comes to like to understanding Thor, and especially understanding Thor's love for Asgard and all that kind of stuff like that, having Loki is what makes Thor. So seeing how they're doing it in the MCU, where they're doing the history rhyming type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
where they have a selfish, narcissistic, manipulative character kind of have redemption to the point where they're so important it's not even funny. Um, I think is kind of clever. It being Loki is wonderful. Loki finally getting his throne was a great touch. How he got his throne, realizing that he is a god,
Mm-hmm.
realizing that I can't, I don't need to use all these other people. I need to use myself. I mean, Loki season 2 was outside of Endgame, right? Since everybody wants to go back to that, that was the most Endgame level, I guess storytelling that Marvel has had since that time period. And I like how it connects all these things. I like how the stakes were so was so far. And then I also kind of liked seeing how far the TVA, what the TVA was, and
Yeah.
all these things like that. And that's why I believe I'm so frustrated about the Jonathan Majors thing, is because that's the first chink in the Kang armor. That the end of Loki is what made me think, oh, well, Kang's just a step over until we get to Doom. And then again, when you think of time runs out, we didn't even see that guy. And then when we
Right.
do, oh shit! Like, where did that come from? You,
Right.
you see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like, it's like that's my whole thing about this. Like, for those who kind of know what's going on, it's just like, what are you doing? Stop worrying about what the casuals think and keep writing your story. Who cares what the casuals think? You don't have to always make $1 billion. I mean, or if you don't, oversaturate your budget, you don't have to. You won't have to.
Exactly. Look at Godzilla minus one.
Right.
$15 million, and it looks just as good as any MCU movie.
Right.
So yeah, exactly. You
It's one of those things where you know capitalism is involved here, but um, as a strong workers advocate, hey Marvel, take care of your crew that is really good, and they will do anything for you. That,
Yep.
that that's all you got to do. Like, I don't know, make a really high budget movie cheap. So even if it flops, it's not going to flop. The only reason why we're calling things flop is we're comparing it to the budget. But
Yep.
that's not really how it works. Maybe the way that this, because technically the Marvels barely just got their money back, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
something like that, right? So the reason why they barely got their money back is Mara and I were watching Assembled yesterday. Well, based off of how you had your damn set, I can see why you spent so goddamn much money on your on your budget. Like, don't get me wrong, the visuals are great. I get that, but I'm sure that there was cheaper ways that you
Yeah.
could have done this, especially if you took care of your CGI folks who are complaining, especially during all those strikes and things such as that. And so, if you take care of your good quality employees, yes, those employees will be expensive, but there will be fewer of them. And then when you put that together, that's cheaper than trying to turn and burn like all these businesses do. That how is that cost effective in any way, shape, or form? When ultimately what the consumer is looking for is a well done, well shot, graphic story that ends up being part of a bigger story. That's all we're
Mm-hmm.
looking for. And I really don't care what the casuals say, because the casuals don't know what they're talking about. So why are we worried about them? It's just like I've been listening to people's Super Bowl takes all day at work, working at a car dealership. You got the salesmen talking about it, you got the customers talking about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what game half of the people were watching. I'm real spot on with my sports stuff. So, when it comes to breaking down stuff, to one, be able to talk about it or broadcast it or whatever, I try to make sure I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what game people watched. I really don't understand how 54 seconds of a skinny white chick is gonna make you lose your mind. Like I don't
Yeah,
understand it. What game were you watching? I watched one of the best Super Bowls I have ever seen in my lifetime outside of Tom Brady's comeback.
yeah, not many go into overtime like that,
Right.
and for sure. And yeah, I mean the Taylor Swift thing
So if
that
they're
that
willing to
really
do that, if
is.
they're willing to do that with a football game that they just watched yesterday, what are they going to do with a movie franchise where they're not even familiar with these characters or these comics because they call everything woke, like the shit ain't been around for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
no,
What are you
I
talking
know
about?
exactly. Yeah, because they call stuff woke. That's like, oh, Star Wars is woke. Like, do you motherfuckers understand what you're talking about? Because George Lucas, which before he did this was a pariah, now he's the messiah everybody wants to go back to, but
Exactly.
he sold Star Wars to Disney. Pop quiz: do any of you know what he did with most of the fucking money from that sale? Newsflash: he donated it to charity. Like, so the creator of Star Wars is woke.
He's the real one with
Comic
a black
books.
wife, so he's the wokest.
I'm glad you said it. I wasn't, because I wasn't going to be that, but boom, there you have it.
I'll
Exactly.
be that guy. I got you. I'll say what you can. You say what
So
I can.
that
We'll
is the
work it all together.
godfather.
Like,
Yeah, that is the father of Star Wars. Star
yeah,
Wars is woke. Um,
it is.
and
It
get
was always been woke. It's about woke. It's about you know empires versus rebels
which
and
you're not supposed to like the Empire, by the way. So a lot of you missed that
oh,
note.
still
But
to this day, man. It that one is gonna be and it's really Disney's fault or the whoever has the license. Whoever
yeah,
has the license, it's their fault. They do not make rebel merchandise that is appeasing to the consumer.
yeah,
And I think that's
I agree.
twofold. One because ultimately that's not what this system wants. Number one, but two, um, it's just not sexy, which is the point. These were ragtag. Uh, Andor, was it Andor?
Oh my God! Let's talk about it. Well, that's a
Was
whole
it
nother.
Andor? I'm talking about the what's his name? Um,
Andy Serkis,
no, I mean that part was great too, but
his mom.
no,
God, that was a
what's his
fucking great
name?
show. I'm so mad that people don't love it
Black
more.
guy. Um,
Oh, Saul Guerrero.
Saul Guerrero, right? He was talking about whether it's a separatist or this or that or this or that or that. Do you guys understand what he was saying? Ultimately, like granted, he is extreme. What people would. I mean, he's a terrorist, so let's be honest about that. But but what he was saying was, and what we ultimately know happens is all of these different segment groups that have their different agendas and different this and that banded together to do the thing you said was terrible in the last movie,
Yeah,
or actually, the last movies of each era. But you know what I'm saying, Return of the Jedi and the Rise of the
Rise of
Skywalker. But
Skywalker.
but that's what the thing that I ultimately preach in life, where hey, I'm a I'm a black guy that grew up in the suburbs and had my own struggles and this and that, and I have family that are in the hood, and you're a white guy that lives in your community and has your struggles and this, that, and the third, and when it's all said and done, I love you like a brother, and if there's anything you need, I
Absolutely.
got you, and all this other kind of stuff like that. Those things don't matter. You may have a different agenda that you have in your life because you're very spiritual. I'm not. That's okay because we can still come together and do some stuff.
Hmm.
And that's ultimately what Star Wars is, which you think you'd be able to merchandise that, but they don't. And so then what you're left with is people acting like Darth Vader, even though technically he got redeemed, but like Darth Vader, the Empire, and the Death Star and the Stormtroopers
Yeah.
is cool. No, there's space Nazis, bruh. You don't want nothing
Literal
to do with
space
any of the stuff.
Nazis.
Did you not see them completely destroy Alderaan for no reason? Now, yes, granted, Andor. You said you wanted to talk. You got excited about that one. I want to know your thoughts.
I fucking love Andor, and I didn't
Yeah.
think I would.
Yeah.
I started watching because I like Rogue One, but I wasn't like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, a character casting Andor, whatever. Let me check this out. But as I'm watching it, I'm just like, this is the most coolest fucking Star Wars that's not really like Star Wars that I ever fucking saw. Um, just the social commentary that goes along with it. I mean, just the characters. The guy that Luthen is his name. I can't remember the actor.
Oh, it's something German, but I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
Skarsgård or I don't know, but
Something like that. Yeah.
uh,
Here I'm up.
just
While you're
just
talking,
to
go ahead.
see how his character is right. He exists on
Ellen
Coruscant.
Skarsgård.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
It was
he.
Doctor. What's his name from Thor?
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Can't remember names, man.
Yeah,
That's weird.
nah, hey,
My short-term memory's gone.
it's legal in Ohio now. That's where
Yeah,
we're from.
right.
So, congrats. But just that show to me, like, it really sells you on, like, this is why you shouldn't like the Empire because
Right.
they are basically harvesting these prisoners and making them work on a death machine. It's just so you see how these people that live in Coruscant, Empire, Rebellion, Old Republic, New Republic, we don't give a fuck. We just want to do what we're doing, you know?
Right.
We just want to live our high life with our little pony knobs, and so again, thankfully, you've got people like Mon Mothma, Luthen that are in that society and are working to undermine it. But it just, the speeches. Oh my god! I mean, where Andor's mom, she recorded her
Oh yeah,
speech.
man. Almost.
Oh
I think I cried.
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
because I knew I as that part was going down. I felt I can't remember the planet, but I felt that community's togetherness. I
Mm-hmm.
felt their fight. I felt their camaraderie, and I mean, and they knew what was going down. They were just trying to play their part. Um, you know, Technically, Cassian screwed it up, but that's what you gotta sacrifice sometimes.
Yeah.
And I remember coming up in the game when I got out of the Marine Corps. To be honest with you, because people always ask me, especially knowing that I'm in the Marine Corps and knowing kind of like the things that I advocate for now and things like such as that. They're like, you were a Marine, like how did you make the switch? Being in the Marine Corps, I kind of feel like Finn. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where
Right.
like I was there,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be a part of that. And being a part of that let me see what it is that these countries that we don't even think about, but we pay billions of dollars to blow up, deal with. And I didn't want anything to do with that. And that made me think about, you know, what I'm doing and what I potentially could be aiding and abetting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see that in the Star Wars universe, that's the most human. That's the deepest that you can go without actually going to the military to feel the way that I felt. I felt the same exact way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just myself personally, especially when talking with other Star Wars fans that don't really see these parallels to real life or ignore the parallels to real life, like it just bugs me because it's just like, what are you watching the same? How can you watch this and be like, oh well, the Empire's makes sense? Like there's no way that
Right.
can make sense to you unless you're just a complete 100% dick. And what I love about uh how they did Andor is, you know, it's just this random ragtag group in this random movie that they came out with. and I'm guessing season 2 probably will focus on what happened with damn, what is up with my names right now? I can't remember names. But the other girl, what was her name?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to remember it
Yeah, bro. But we know who we're talking about. The main
Yeah,
character of the damn Rogue One.
right.
Um, we'll probably see what she was doing to even get imprisoned in the first place, because I'm pretty sure she's been anti-Empire on her own this whole time, and then obviously how that ends up coming together to be where we're at in Rogue One. And what do you think that was, guy? Like, this was quote unquote terrorism, if you will. They blew up a whole damn planet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That,
Well, and Luthen even
put a
says
dent
it.
in the Death Star program for real for a little while.
But Luthen even says it, and that's why, okay, I get it. You call Saul Guerrero a terrorist, okay, but it goes
Yeah.
along with what Luthen says. I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat
Right.
them.
Yep.
I mean, that's the sacrifice these people are making for revolution, to make sure that the Empire doesn't just destroy everything, consume everything, and fight against it, which is, really, really important.
And
And
what I liked about that message as well was it wasn't just about Luthen looking at his interests.
right,
He made sacrifices and he did things for the benefit of them all. And it may have gotten, like Amon Matha in trouble because, she was funding, their actions and things such as this. Like, yeah, sure, but what he was doing was helping the separatists that ended up coming to the rebellion. It was helping, the people who probably looked down on, I mean, it didn't happen to Alderaan yet, but those things were the precursor. Well, hey, they did this to Alderaan. Do you remember, all these other things that were going on that the Empire were doing? Um, and it just shows that, like, yes, we all have our individual qualms and things that we see and experiences based off of this system of this world, or the world order, if you will, that we have. But ultimately, I don't think it needs to get that far. I don't think we really need to, in like the movies suggest or media suggest, need to use those tools in order to reach the world that we need to. We just need to change. But in a dramatized, media fashion, that's what it is. It's unity. I might not agree with you completely all the way. Hey, we ended up letting the part where Luthen let the other guys get caught in order to warn Saw and be like, hey, I had to make a choice. I don't
right,
want to, but my choice is to roll with you. Like, that's the stuff that I'm talking about. Without that happening, we would not have Star Wars. That's my whole
right,
again, back to what we were saying about letting it ride. That's the whole thing about the prequels. You can't complain about episode 4 because or episode 1, 2, and 3 because we already saw episode 4. We know what happens. We just didn't see what happens. Now we're
right,
seeing what happens, and you're complaining about that. You can't. But with that said, within that story, if we're going to connect it to the bigger world, that's what I see, and that's why I like Star Wars so much. So for these weirdos out there that are saying that Star Wars is woke now, bro, you are not paying attention
right.
at all.
Agreed. Um, but yeah, so fucking Andor. Yeah, so we're both aligned. We love that show. For a lot of different reasons. I mean, just the symbolism, the struggle, that we're seeing, the fact that, after his mom gives that speech, yeah, I can't remember the name of the planet, but this town, this community, if you die, they have a rule where, like, they turn you into a brick, and so you literally become part of the town, part of something that helps build the town up. So, after she has that speech and the Empire starts to, like, break it up, and the fight starts, and then he's got that brick that is literally her, and he just fucking smashes
Yep.
over. I was like, holy fuck, that's cool as hell. Like, God, jeez. But yeah, Andor's a masterpiece. Listen, I have a hard time, John, because I have yet to consume anything from Star Wars, show, movie, that I did not really enjoy.
Right.
I'm really actually angry that things like Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Andor should have won fucking whatever the TV award, Oscar equivalent. Um, it should have won. It should have won multiple awards. But then the fucking Ahsoka, to see Hayden Christian again,
Yeah.
donning the Clone War armor,
Yeah.
just the
Seen it in real life.
conversation there, yeah, it was just, man, just fucking awesome. So I don't know. I think you're just going to be an echo chamber for me, but I really do get frustrated and I just kind of wonder. I can't fathom, like, how are people not enjoying all of this? I mean, I just think Star Wars just keeps steadily killing it. Out of any combined universe or franchise property, whatever you want to fucking call it, that's out there, Star Wars is just consistently. And the sequel trilogy, I don't care. I love. You're right. It would have been cool to see Luke Skywalker tear through some stormtroopers or some shit, but that's not where they went with that. But you did get to see it. Well, I saw it before in comics, so I had already seen it. They had
Right.
comics where that
It's
happened.
out there. The media exists. If you want fanfic, it's out there. It's called Legends.
But we did also get him in the Mando do his thing there. So, like, boom, okay, there's where they presented. There's where they decided for the story that's where they were going to present that juggernaut Luke Skywalker. So I just don't get it. That's one thing that frustrates me.
Which also means that since that's where they are, any new Mandalorian stuff is gonna cross over with that. You're gonna get it. Just shut up and be patient. Like it just bugs me. And speaking of Ahsoka, I don't think it completely answered, or it completely like proved my theory true yet. It almost is. It's like halfway there. But did we see the unknown regions?
Yeah, that whole planet.
Is this the unknown regions? Is this where?
That's how I took it.
Is this where he's probably a lot of star systems away, but is this where the Chiss Ascendancy are hanging out? Is that why Thrawn was trying to get back to the other galaxy so bad?
Mm-hmm.
Because he don't want to deal with the Chiss yet, because he didn't accomplish his mission, which that's deeper getting into books. So what I need to get the second and third one, and I will, but I'm a Pirate Bay hound. But I got Thrawn, the first book. And the new trilogy is canon. The old trilogy was Legends. It's still good.
Yeah.
I've heard that story. I got to read those books too. But I downloaded the audiobook for the first Thrawn. Oh my fucking! This is masterful storytelling. Like, Thrawn is probably one of my favorite villain characters, because he's not really a villain, even though he is, but he's not, but he is.
If he wasn't like working for space Nazis,
right?
That's the thing that makes you.
But my thing about it is if you read the first Thrawn book, it's ambiguous whether he joined the space Nazis because they're space Nazis. To me, what I think he did was he's so pragmatic and he's so logical that it's like, okay, these guys' politics are stupid as hell, but they have the machinery, they have the discipline, they have the order, they have the resources, they have the transportation that we're kind of looking for if we're gonna battle. Because again, I don't know too much about the Chiss, and what we know about the Chiss is from Legends. But what I know is that they're fighting something that's deeper, darker than any Sith could ever even begin to fathom, to imagine. So, Thrawn, even though he said he was exiled, I was reading some other stuff, deep diving and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that he is a spy. So he was quote unquote exiled to come over to this universe, galaxy, the main galaxy, to assess what's going on over there, find who can help, and when you're ready, bring them over. Because at the end of the first Thrawn book, his assistant, if you will, Vanto, he sent him to the unknown regions to be with the Chiss. That's canon.
Right. Yeah.
Vanto, granted, he was in the Empire, isn't really in the Empire. That's just what you had to do. That's just like me joining the Marine Corps. Oh, I'm
Right.
joining the Marine Corps. Oh, I'm going to college. And then, quarter of my friends are dead. And, a lot have bodies on them and, deep, dark thoughts and their heads all fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really want to be there, but I can say that I'm a Marine Corps veteran, right? So Vanto is kind of the same thing. Once he realized that, obviously they had to win their battles and do the things, and that meant they were killing rebels and this, that, and the third. But ultimately, if you understand Thrawn's kind of mentality, he's just trying to do what he's got to do to make sure he's got the resources or the ear of the person that has the resources. And now that guy's gone. So then what's up?
Yeah.
And now we're in this spot in the Star Wars universe where we lost Ahsoka for a while, especially when you're knowing where we are in the sequel trilogy. We lost Ahsoka, we lost Ezra, we lost Sabine. Where are they at?
We'll see
over there.
We're
gonna see him
the
in a
Rey
little
movies.
bit, right?
Yeah.
Because and then when you go back to the Force Ghost talking to Rey at the end of the Rise of the Skywalker, that's not because she's dead. That's because she's in the unknown regions. She knows how to tune her powers because
That
they didn't went
planet
over
they're
there
on,
in the first place.
there's something they're searching for that's dealing with the Force on that planet that they're on.
Right.
A Balin's skull, and I mean, what the fuck else is Ahsoka going to do? So, that's going to happen. There's some sort of Force focal point that absolutely.
And the Night Sisters didn't want to be there.
Right.
So if Night Sisters don't want to be there, what the fuck is going on over in the unknown regions? Thrawn, Chiss. Bro,
Right,
it's masterful on so many levels, and to see Rosario Dawson just look spectacular, just not even in her natural beauty, but the beauty of Ahsoka, older Ahsoka. I mean, honestly, I don't mean to make this sound weird, but like if we lived in the Star Wars universe, we'd be living around these people. I'd be shooting my shot at Ahsoka every day. She'd be like, "No, John," and I'd be like, "Listen, we could have kids. We could, we could move to the mountains over here. I'm willing to go with you wherever you go, girl. Like, what's up? What's happening? I'm for you, girl. Like that'd be my girl in the Star Wars universe,
right?
Just to see all these different type of characters, and then to me, I'm sure probably you noticed this as well, is the I wouldn't even say disturbance, but the Sabine kind of mashing the Mandalorian and the Jedi, but she's not really, you know what I mean? She doesn't really have it, and where that's gonna lead, and then where Grogu and how her and Grogu can kind of do their thing, and then when Den comes back, and like it's just there's so much, and it's just so wonderful that again. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to say the casuals need to shut up and no. I want you to watch. I just need you to pay attention. And for those that say, there's so many shows and you get overwhelmed, it's really not. I mean, it is, but it's really not.
It's on a streaming service.
Get through them in a couple of months.
Right.
There's deep dive videos that'll fill in the gaps if you need to fill in the gaps. If you really want to give it a shot, it's more than just laser swords and space sorcery. It's more to it than that, and that's what the beauty of it, that what they've been showing. Bad Batch coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah 2
I think it
weeks.
was like what
20
end of February, beginning of March,
something like that. Yep,
something like that. Yeah, that's gonna end up that. I mean, that's, oh my gosh, where they could go with that. Because honestly, let's talk about it.
Sure.
What do you think Omega?
Yeah.
What do you? I try to do the New Zealand accent. I can't do it. But what do you think Omega is? Like, what's her importance? What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny because we know that she is a clone.
Mm-hmm.
but I I keep thinking she's like Rey's predecessor. Like she's actually a Palpatine clone or some way. Just the way she talks and the way she's a lot different.
Oh, I think I get what you're saying. Like
Yeah,
maybe she's Ray's mom.
right, exactly. Like something, akin to that because I feel like her and Rey's accent are very similar. Um
Right.
so
And why would Palpatine be so strung up on this clone?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously very, very important to Palpatine. So that's what I think. I think that that's going to somehow be the bridge, or I don't know, a bridge, whatever, what have you. I think it has something to do with her being a Palpatine clone, or something to do with Rey. I really do. I
Yeah.
really think that's a way for Omega is going to kind of. I don't know if it's going to help, but everyone's like, Mary Sue, Mary Sue, she's a Mary Sue.
No, she's a
She's no
perfect
more
clone.
of a Mary Sue than like Luke Skywalker was a Mary Sue.
Right.
Like, um, I mean, and if she truly is a Palpatine or has something to, then of course she's going to be very strong in the fucking Force. Like,
It not to get too sidetracked because it kind of connects. Because earlier you had mentioned you watched Gundam 00, right?
mm-hmm,
So I was watching this video yesterday actually, breaking down. I think it was called like the beauty of the mecha anime or whatever. And there was this one part that we're talking where when you think about a Gundam and you think about how the quote unquote protagonist always gets a Gundam. First
yeah,
off, they're kids. They're like 14, 15 years old, right? And then it's some random shit where they get a Gundam. And then it's just this one weapon that's just like completely tearing through. And when you think about this is destruction and violence and death and war and like in a Gundam when they blow up one of like the big massive ships,
mm-hmm,
it's like tens of thousands of people dead in an instant
right.
all over the space.
Like they shoot a beam, and you'll see
Shoot
like
a
three of
beam,
those ships
and
explode.
right, that was about 75,000 people at one time,
Right.
and we were like, bro, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like a weird concept,
Right.
right? So taking that over to Star Wars with this Mary Sue concept, first off, this is fiction. Number one, number two, it really takes it really takes a Mary Sue individual to come as a collective in order to beat evil such as this.
Right.
But the way that you show that in media is you show the Mary Sue do it by themselves, and then everybody comes around because the
Right.
Mary Sue's doing it by themselves. So
Right.
the theme that we as someone like me that likes to find the themes and hidden themes, whatever, in media and things such as that, what I get out of that is we're all Mary Sue's in our story.
Exactly.
So if you put your force with my force, with her force, with they force, whatever comes upon us, we can beat on an Avengers Thanos level type of like showing it to you on your face every show you watch. You just ignore it because you want to see the pow pow bang bang,
Right.
and the pow pow bang bang is important, but you also
Fun.
gotta not worry about the little part to get there. We just got to understand that we got to move the plot along, and sometimes we got to Mary Sue some shit. And so if we want to call Omega or Ray or Luke or Anakin or whoever Mary Sue, or what's the guy version of it, like
Mary
John
Sue.
Smith,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. I've never heard.
hold on, I'm gonna find it. But male version of Mary Sue. I need to know right now. Oh, Gary Stu, that's what it is. Um,
I've never heard that before.
right. It's so simple that you don't even think of it. But you got a Mary Sue and a Gary Stu. So what? Who cares?
Yeah.
And it's really weird because the guys like male Gary Stews, but then don't like Mary Sue's. You're being a hypocrite. It's stupid. So just take things for what they are, and because of that, Omega, man, uh, the end of last season, teared up.
Yeah, it was heavy. It was heavy
Geared up.
losing
It's only
Tech.
gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Next season is gonna be absolutely gut wrenching to the soul, because them dudes definitely ain't around. You know, what
Yeah,
I'm
that
saying?
exactly. Like, yeah,
Something about
you
to
have
happen.
not seen the Bad Batch, so yeah,
Right.
something. Um, yeah, I don't think they're going to get the Ahsoka treatment. Where Ahsoka now
Mhm.
looks like she went off over here now, which is why we
Right.
haven't seen her. So she still has a future, but the Bad
Right.
Batch,
Mm-mm.
there's no future there,
And
unfortunately.
while you were talking about the Omega, I was thinking of the story element that kind of like fell off in Andor. Was it Andor? Yes, Andor. With the cloning doctor and his mom.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was.
Because I had seen something where the cloning doctor was the doctor. The theory is the cloning doctor that is his mom is the cloning doctor that saved uh what's his name, the sniper, while they were breaking
Uh,
out.
Tech. Oh, the sniper.
But you know what scene I'm talking about?
Right. Yes, I do. I just again don't know the name.
Crosshair.
Oh, okay.
Crosshair.
Yeah, I was thinking Tech, but I knew it wasn't Tech.
Yeah, no, it's not Tech, it's Crosshair.
Crosshair.
I love their accent. I wish I could do it.
It's a
But yeah,
Carillion
so when
accent.
Crosshair was up, they were about to get rid of him because they didn't need him no more.
Yeah.
Because old boy, blonde hair, blue eyed boy, he's turned into a little fashy. So the doctor that saved them, I believe, also was a clone. I don't know, but the theory was that's his mom, and then they found her and then destroyed her lab, and then that's what carried her son to do what he was doing.
Mm.
And then what we see in, I believe it was the end of Andor, end of one episode, was the one agent that said that she changed, but she didn't change at all,
Yeah.
turning up the thing on him or whatever. Like, what happened to him?
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And so I think that is the Omega Andor during the Death Star time period,
Mm.
and then obviously Ray. Well, Ray would be a lot later, but there's a bridge there. There's
Right.
something in between that doctor and Ray that we're gonna find out soon, probably in Mandalorian or something, because they were showing cloning and stuff too,
Yep.
with what's his face. Man, I really, talking about this now, like us hitting this up and turning the cameras on and
Yeah.
firing up the mics. It's been a long ass time since we watched these shows. I can't remember nobody's name, man.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like the only reason I even remembered Luthen is because I was absolutely
Right,
enthralled with that character. His badass spaceship with the
Gideon. That's
light.
what it is.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Who had the original?
What'd you think about that, bro?
I loved it. I mean, I'm like, because when you see his suit of armor and it's got the
Yeah.
spikes on top, I'm like, is this
Right.
motherfucker former Death Watch, like
Right.
Darth Maul Death Watch shit? They never really explored that, but fuck it.
You know who Moff Gideon reminds me of? Cecil Rhodes.
Cecil
You know who that is?
Rose. No, I do not.
So Cecil Rhodes was a colonizer, I believe, for Belgium. He was a Belgian colonizer. No, hold on. I want to make sure I got this right. But you'll understand what I'm talking about here in a
Mm-hmm.
second. So no, I'm okay. So Belgium was King. Shit. But anyway, regardless, Cecil Rhodes was a big colonizer. And the thing about Cecil Rhodes, though, while he was colonizing, I believe it was like Southern Africa, South Africa, like stuff over in that area or whatever, he was very in tune with the culture of that he was colonizing.
Mm-hmm.
And Moff Gideon gives me that, I murdered all the Mandalorians, but I respect the Mandalorians and want to be a part of their culture. That's why he wanted the dark saber, and that's why he wears a Mandalorian mask and all this other stuff. Is because obviously it's his job to get rid of them and all this other stuff, but he respected them so much that he wore their culture. It was part of their culture, and that's kind of like the Cecil Rhodes. When you a lot of the stuff in the museums or whatnot are from those type of conquests.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you don't save stuff like that to put them in a museum if you don't respect it.
God. Yeah.
Which then to me is just like, then why'd you colonize them then? Why don't you just
Just live with them.
live
Yes.
peacefully alongside of them? Like, oh,
Just say,
motherfuckers
hey, I
live.
like your culture. Can I be a part of it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
right.
Hey,
But
it's part of my
those are the
culture.
vibes that he gives.
Yeah, I don't think he was ultimately a part of Deathpool. It's what I thought at first. But then yeah, you see where they've got like the stormtrooper Mandalorians. So yeah, obviously he had appropriated that part because he respected the warrior culture, this armor they wore, the jetpacks they use. Like, yeah, these are really effective fighters. Like, so I do believe you and agree that it makes more sense that he just appropriated that shit and now he's like, I'm wearing the
King
culture of the
Mando,
people.
like,
Yeah.
I'm Din Djarin, fam.
Yep. Do you think that they're going to depart from Din Djarin from The Mandalorian? They got the movie coming out, but I've seen a lot of speculation. The Mandalorian could not always refer to one specific. It could be Din Djarin. It could be Grogu. It could be. I'm trying to remember her fucking name, but I can't. The female leader.
Katie Sackhoff, but I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I can remember Katie Sackhoff. Kreese. Anywho.
I know. I got it. Hold on. I know it's on the tip of my tongue. Not Sabine. That's her sister.
Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan, I think it is.
Bo-Katan. That's
yes. So, we could potentially focus on Bo-Katan.
So outside of the religious sect that Din comes from, who kind of opened up their ways a little bit, as we saw at the end of the second season. I think that what the Mandalorians end up doing is reclaiming their culture, whether they take the plot of land that they were given by Grief, may he rest in peace.
Yep.
R.I.P. Carl Weathers, which damn, that's put a damper into the show, but not to be like show selfish, but I mean he was kind of an important part, and that kind of sucks. I hope they give that one credit. That's why I wish Gina wasn't such a weirdo bigot, but I think that the Mandalorians just reclaim themselves, and after seeing what the Empire did during the original war, they were not trying to be involved in that First Order shit,
right.
Or let any of the First Order even know where they were. And I think that whatever brings about the First Order, which is seemingly the stuff going on behind the scenes with Moff Gideon and them, isn't really worried about that because they've been on their last legs. They're on the same thing. And so ultimately what I think will happen is that there's something that these characters are a part of that fights to fight off that, but ultimately it's in their best interest to do what they need to do in some movie or some show, and then go their separate ways and do their thing. So that's why we don't see them in the sequel trilogy, because I think we will later. I think the threat that's coming in Star Wars beyond the Sith is going to bring the Sith, the Jedi, the Mandalorians, the regular people, all that together. And it's one of those things where I always say that we need, as in real life, we need an alien attack for all of us to realize that we're one race and we're one people, no matter what we look like, no matter where we're from, no matter what our culture is, no matter what our religion is, no matter what our socioeconomic status is, even though socioeconomic statuses are stupid to me, we should all be able to eat and live, whatever. And that's what an alien attack will give us, the ability to be like, oh, you know what? You are my neighbor, so you need somewhere to stay because them aliens motherfuckers over there. Like, we don't need that.
Yeah.
We can just do that. But if that does happen, I hope that we would come together and do these things, which is, I think that is the theme of Star Wars. So that's my whole
Yes.
thing. I think that we're supposed to forget about these people and make us think that they're these nomads and make them think that they're just this. But like, their planet was glass and they kind of lived on that shit
Yeah.
for a while. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want they got to rebuild their own stuff, and you can't help others until you help yourself sometimes. So, whether it's Din, whether it's Bo-Katan, whether it's Sabine, whether it's Grogu, whether it's any of their offspring or other people that they find or found, during the stuff that they were doing on Mandalore.
Hmm.
Um, it's all of them. They're all the Mandalorian, and that's kind of the whole "this is the way" shit. Is like, yeah, they were going to like the extreme with it, but they're like one movement, one group, one thing. Bound by the conquering of the big ass dinosaur. I forgot what it was called, but
Mythosaur.
the mythosaur. Yeah, right. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's so many places that they can go with it that I'm excited to see it all.
Yep. Yeah. Nah, me too. I can't wait. Everything that they've announced, I can't wait for. So before we end it here, though, I wanted just to get your quick opinion, and you've mentioned it. You just mentioned it. Like, something's going to bring everyone together. You've mentioned the unknown regions. So, to me, being a Legends fan, my mind says at some point we're getting the Yuzon Vong coming from the unknown regions. For those of you that don't know, the Yuzon Vong, or alien is a bit redundant in the Star Wars universe, but they are a race that's basically all plant biomechanical based. Their ships are basically these giant creatures that can control gravity, thus how they actually move through space. They use it as weapons. They can basically slam planets into one another. Again, using these huge world ships with these gravity manipulating creatures. All their weapons are basically living animals. Their armor is basically like a bunch of crabs and shit that graft onto their skin. Very painful. The shit that they shoot from their guns, for you 80s kids, remembers the old G.I. Joe movies, the Cobra La guys, where everything's just all natural. But on top of that, they are immune to the Force. Right. And ultimately, that was kind of like what Palpatine was guarding against ultimately when it came to the Empire. Yes, he wanted to subjugate the galaxy, order, and rule all that, but then he always knew that the Yuzon Vong, something was coming that he had to prepare for. So that was, part of the military. So, again, wrapping this up, do you think that's what's coming, or what?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name, so you gave me the
Okay.
name.
Gotcha.
That's who I was talking about. Isn't that who the Chiss were fighting against?
Yeah, I
Like,
believe.
that's what their whole civilization is, so methodical and so logical and so calculated and so unwavering, because they can't even beat that shit. They're on the run.
Yeah.
And that's why they sent Thrawn to the known regions to be like, hey, I think there's a motherfucker over there that knows about this shit. So I need you to go over there to figure out what the hell he doing. So we can like put this shit together, because these little plant motherfuckers is killing me, bro. We can't handle this no more.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a thing where, like, the Jedi they're all powerful here, but then over in the unknown regions they're just navigators, because you can't really. I think I think the planet that they're on in Ahsoka, because the Purgle can get there,
Mm-hmm.
is the limit of where the Purgle can go.
Right.
So like that's like their end like
Like
wall where like
right.
they either know they can't go too far or they don't want to go too far or they can't go too far. One of the two. And then they just travel back, in their little lanes, and that's how they created the hyperdrive
Mm-hmm.
lanes and all that kind of stuff like that. So I think that whatever is there is like a beacon that either guards or protects against, you call it the Yuzon Vong, right?
Yep.
Um, and what's his name? Uh, the old guy.
Balin
You
Skoll.
just Yeah, Balin Skoll, but he died though in real life.
Yeah, Ray Stevens did.
Yeah, so I don't know how they're gonna follow
So
that up, but I think that's what he's looking for. He's
uh,
looking for that power.
Disney, I could dye the rest of the hair gray. I've already got the gray beard going. I can do it.
Yeah, yeah. At the very least, you could do the voice acting if they do animated.
Yeah, certainly.
I could see
I
that.
would
But
love
yeah,
that.
that's what I think it is, man. Because it's not gonna it's I don't know. I always go back to the Freddie Prinze Jr. uh video where he like loses his shit because he's like, I'm tired of this, bro. Like I worked with Dave Filoni, I worked with George Lucas. They broke it down. The force is the force. There is no good, there is no bad.
Right.
You can pull it one way or the other, but it's about balancing the force. And ultimately, I think that when the force users in this known region are able to do that, that is what the Yuzon Vong will not be immune to. I think they're immune to the force being pulled.
Mm, okay.
They're not immune to the
Which
balance. That's why nobody can do the shit.
which makes Ahsoka all the more important because
Hmm.
her lightsabers used to be Sith lightsabers, but
Right.
even though she's not a Jedi, she's not a
She
Jedi.
she purified
She
them.
purified that shit.
Hmm.
So look that up. But
Yeah, we're nerds, guys. I don't know if you knew that or not.
right. Yeah, no, I just didn't pull that title out of thin air. There is
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Nope, that is
The stuff is good, man. Stuff is great. I mean,
yeah.
even the all the little subtext that you see, and I mean, and there's other things that are out there that we could probably get into too, like I don't know how you feel about it, but like Rebel Moon. Did you see that yet?
I have not seen that yet.
I mean,
People
only
talk
because it's
trash about it, but you know what? I don't listen to that anymore
only
because
because it's Zack Snyder, and only because he's trying to create his own franchise, and they left it open. That I think it's a good look. I'm gonna probably have to watch it again because I wasn't expecting to see it, so I didn't know what to expect. I just watched it,
yeah.
and then when I go back and I look at everybody's little shitty remarks, I'm like, did I watch the same movie? Um, but like, yeah, there's more stuff out there, but for the ones that we were talking about, I mean, the sky is the limit for where they can go, whether that be animated, whether that be live action, TV show, movie, comics, side stories, and all the other kind of stuff like that. Like I just whether it's Marvel, I mean, I wish DC would get their head out of their ass, which they may, but whether it's Marvel, whether it's Star Wars, those major franchises are putting out some good stuff that if people can I don't know, it's just a really weird type of media ownership that people have of it. It's
Yeah.
really weird. And then on the casual side, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I thought Star Wars was all lightsabers and pew pew." Like, I mean, yeah, but no, it wasn't even that then. Like, just we need to work on media literacy. Media literacy is a thing that needs to be worked on. So hopefully through these shows, while us nerding out, we can kind of build a community that can uh, can grow and learn together. We can all learn together what you know what stories are being told,
Yeah.
how they connect to the past, and then on top of that, I think the purpose of art is to get us to think about ways that we can become better human beings in real life in the present. So
Absolutely.
all that stuff is great, man. And maybe Gina can stop being a shithead and get her fucking job back, but I don't see that happening anytime soon since she's suing Disney with Elon,
Yeah, yeah,
elephant
yeah.
tusk.
Yeah, that's may not. Yeah, that's not going to get reconciled. But no, that's a good thing to end us with, guys. Absolutely is. Artwork it is subjective, but there's many layers to it, many messages, both in your face and in subcontext. But let's just use that all to be the best people we can be at the end of the day. Let's learn from history. Let's learn from fiction because it's all circular and tied in. All
Mm-hmm.
right, awesome sauce. Well, hey man, Jay, it was great. We talked about MCU, Star
Yeah,
Wars, which I've been wanting to talk to you about Star Wars for a while because again, I'm watching
me too, brother.
all this
This has been
awesome
great.
shit, and people are just not enjoying it as much as I think they should. So
I'll say, we both have in our little break have gone through some shit,
yeah,
and to be honest with you, this has been the most cathartic and relieved and just the one of the better feeling days I've had
wonderful.
being able to have this conversation with you. So I'm glad that we were able to do it again, and hopefully we can do it again soon, my brother.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, before we go, guys, of course, on the X-Men app or X app, or it's going to be dead soon. But anyway, I am still on there at Omega Level Nerds, at D Square 72. So if you want to shout at me there. But yeah,
I
we'll
don't really
definitely
have
be back.
anything anymore as
It,
far as
it
like
really
this stuff
doesn't.
goes. To be honest with
Yeah,
you,
it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just honestly, if it wasn't for me knowing some
for which one
people,
though? Your Facebook? Okay, and if you want some random weird funny Facebook post of someone follower content creator because they be posting memes and stuff all the time. Mara Ortiz,
there
my
you go.
girl, she's trying to get her little Facebook channel monetized. Facebook page or Facebook page is monetized, but we're trying to blow it up a little bit. Should be funny on there sometime. So if you want to see some
Absolutely.
stupid memes, hit my girl up.
Go for it. Everyone loves memes. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all very much. We'll see you next time on the Mega Level Nerds.
All right, see you guys later.